Okay, hello everyone. Hello Drew. Hello everyone. Hello. Hi. So good to see you. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to the May meetup of the 3 Degrees of Separation. We're really excited to be here at Project Impact. We're a little bit on the western edge of town, so we wanted to kind of get around to different places and see something new, and maybe introduce you to a place that you haven't been. So if I can start, maybe, how many people have been here before? I'm sorry, been to Project Impact. How many people? Okay, a few people, right. And how many of us, when you think of the West Side, what are words that come to your mind? Just rattle them off. Somebody, Willow.
Diverse.
Diverse.
I get lost.
Grandma. Hispanic. Underprivileged. What was that one? Airport? Okay. Street crime, right. So there are a lot of people, I think, in the city that have a kind of a negative perception of what the West Side is. And what we want to talk about tonight is some people that are working to change those perceptions. They're trying to get people to understand how things are a little bit different. So we're going to hear from two gentlemen today. The first one is Antonius Northern. And they're just trying to get us and help others to kind of understand what the concept of the other is. So where we may not have been to the West Side, we may not have touched place with the people that live on the West Side, which includes people like, well, Antonius, you live downtown, James, and Lisa. I mean, we don't, it's hard to say who lives on the West Side, right? We have, a lot of diversity there. So the concept of like what a West Sider is, that other person, that group that lives over there, that's a perception. And when you get in and you get to meet those people and understand who they are and where they work, I mean, the same thing with the Domers and the Townies and the Downtowners. So we're just trying to kind of overcome that. There's a lot of opportunity there, a lot of opportunity for engagement, for entrepreneurship, and these are two gentlemen who are taking advantage. So the first, again, is Antonius Northern. He's going to talk to us a little bit about how he's trying to engage with people and change their perception about working with the city. So please welcome him. I also want to mention, I got Antonius' blue version of this shirt, but he is definitely upgraded with the green. I feel it's really nice.
Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate that. As a matter of fact, like Andrew said, there are some different perceptions of people from the west side of this town. As a matter of fact, I grew up right here, not too far from here, definitely in walking distance, on Leland and Lindsay. And so, in my experience with living on the west side and being a west side native, I saw people who worked inside of the city, and I just always thought that, they would come by and do what they had to do, but they never really did much for us. So actually, as I got a little bit older, I got the opportunity to work with the with Organizing for America, which used to be Obama for America and the Indiana Democratic Party. So what I had the opportunity to do, though, was to get out and do canvassing. I don't know if you guys recall anyone calling your house and saying, "Hey, will you come out and support your candidate?" And you go, "Yeah," and then you don't show up. That was probably me that you guys promised something to and didn't. Or if you did come, thank you very much. But in my experience with doing that, people often ask me this question: "What are you doing for the community, Antonius?" Or they say, "Young man, you seem like a really good example of what we need in the way of help." And I had a volunteer who would go out with me quite frequently, and her name was Alpina Aldridge. And she said, "Antonius, maybe we ought to really do something. Maybe we should help out." And from there, we kind of we got the ball rolling. We started thinking about what we could do, and so that's where Empower came from, and that's what I really want to talk to you guys about today. Empower is a nonprofit, and what it does is it offers supplemental education programs. We saw a really bad economic downturn in 2008, and then in 2010, when we myself and Alpina were working in the community doing our canvassing, people were saying, again, like I said, what are you going to do to help? And so we said, maybe we need to, instead of having our high school age students always depend on looking for a job here, looking for a job there, let's see if we can kind of cultivate a spirit of entrepreneurship inside of our high school age students. And then we started to think, and we said, maybe we ought to work on the most affected group. And so we started working with minorities because, as you guys already know, minorities when they look at unemployment demographics, they'll look at it and they'll say, okay, 10% or 8% of the population are unemployed. But then they'll actually look at it and they'll look at it per demographics. And when they looked at the minority demographic, I think at that time in 2010 it was about 14%. And so we said, we're not going to be, I was working in the school corporation and she was also, said, we don't want to continuously just kind of push these students to get all these skill sets and then they go out to the job market and there's no jobs there. So what we decided we would do is say, okay, why don't you guys come through our program? And so we set them up to go, so we created this program called the Entrepreneurship Apprenticeship Program. Really wordy, right? And the overall idea was, though, we would make sure minority students got an opportunity to see entrepreneurship. And not only would they get to see entrepreneurship, they would see entrepreneurship done by minority individuals. For a lot of people, there is a large gap that they see when they don't see someone who looks like them doing it. So what we wanted to do was to create a program where they got to actually see a minority person working in that area. So we didn't just concentrate on African Americans. We also did some women, and we also did I think one Hispanic business. And the idea again was, you guys should see people in the community doing what you want to do, and then at the same time making sure that the solution was already right there. We offered them the Bridges Out of Poverty curriculum, and we also offered them another curriculum about investing, saving. Uh, it's a four-pillar program. I apologize, the gentleman Gil Michelle's not here to tell you all the details about this program. But we had, and then we had the Empower curriculum, which was about taking real-life experiences and creating businesses from those. So 3 days a week they do classroom work over at the Civil Rights Heritage Center at the Natatorium, and then on the fourth day they would go out and shadow or see a minority business owner. And so that's what we would do day to day. That was our very first program with Empower. After that, what we did is we got a chance to work with the adult education population of the South Bend School Corporation. As you know, that's a program geared towards students who want to get their GEDs. And what we learned is that there's a lot of teaching of the test that happens there, where students are a lot of times they're kind of led down the path to make sure that you can score high enough and get your GEDs. However, what we wanted to do is make sure they had one more skill set. And the skill set that we wanted to make sure they had was writing. So what we did is we wrote up a curriculum, and we partnered up with IUSB again. We also partnered up with a few teachers from the school corporation, and we created an etymology portion. Then we created the official correspondence portion where they learned how to write a business letter. And then the third part that we did is that we reached out to some of the individuals who are more artistic in the community but still use writing on a day-to-day basis in order to engage them. So what that did was that created a program that had the very basics of language, followed by a very functional usage of that language. And then the last part is just a kind of a fire starter, something that gets you excited. And so these students were actually exposed to songwriting. They were exposed to poetry. And lastly, they were exposed to public speaking. And those three things, that is the etymology, the official correspondence, and the Toastmasters curriculum, as we like to call it, were the three pillars of the new program that we just created called the Advanced Writing Program. Started back in December of last year with one site. Just as of actually today, we have completed 92 hours of hands-on teaching with the students, not just prep time, but actually 92 hours of in the classroom time with adult education students, or 92 sessions, if you will, at 4 different adult education locations. And next semester or next fall, we will be branching out into 7 different adult education locations. And this summer, what Empower is going to do, again, sticking with that model of supplemental education, we will be working with NASA, the Parks and Recreation Department, and the South Bend School Corporation to bring NASA curriculum. NASA has a number of space camps that they do throughout the state. And what we want to do is how many of you guys, just by a show of hands, are from the South Bend area? Raise your hand if you're from the South Bend area. Anybody ever get a free park lunch? If you have, you'll know that when I was younger, or maybe when you guys were younger, used to build log cabins with little wooden sticks. Or we do little beaded necklaces like these, or little braids. Well, that sounds fun, right? That does. It keeps you engaged throughout the summer. However, what we found out is this. If students aren't engaged throughout the summer, they are actually falling off almost 2 grade levels without being exposed to any academic curriculum. So what we do is, what we decided to do was this. Let's use a service that's already being implemented in the community, and we'll just try to add a little bit to it. And so what we're doing is I went out and got the training from NASA. And then what we're doing is we're training the Parks and Recreation staff to administer a different style of curriculum versus kind of just the tongue depressor log cabins. And we decided we would go with something different from that. And so what we're doing now is we're bringing studies of rocketry. We're bringing studies of astrobiology and astronomy to the lunch tables. And that's basically what our next step is for Empower for this year. If you guys have any interest in being a part of what we do, we are looking for more teachers for the new locations with the adult education class. We do offer training in order to make sure that the teachers will be trained well to offer that curriculum. And over the summer, if you'd like to come out to any of the lunch counters or the lunch tables that you guys see, we'd love to see you out. You guys are, if you're interested in any type of astrobiology, astronomy, or something like that, sometimes students really enjoy having an adult around to say, wow, that is cool. So definitely, you guys are more than welcome to stop by any one of our lunch counter locations. And I guess that wraps it all up. Thanks, guys, from 3 Degrees. If you guys have any questions, go ahead.
Do you have any literature as far as that goes?
For the, yeah. I can give you one of my cards, and then you can shoot me an email. I'll shoot you something. If anybody has any other questions, or if you want to know more about Empower, I have cards. Come chat with me later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was awesome. And our next speaker is James Summers, who actually works in part here and on a variety of different projects as a small business consultant, and then also with Project Impact and really trying to bring individuals of diversity into the fold. As James described earlier, he works with the people that other people don't really want to work with or kind of want to push to the side. And really, so it's really awesome stuff he does.
Thank you. So one of the first things I want to do is welcome you on behalf of Pastor Hardy Blake. Hardy couldn't be here. He's teaching a class on family development. So what I'm going to do is take a real quick picture, y'all, and let Hardy know that, you know what, people did actually show up. I'll just give you a little bit of background about myself and the sorts of things that we're kind of doing, and then we can chat later while we're getting to know everybody. My business is the Summers Group. I'm a for-profit organization. I'm a capitalist. I like making money. Okay, so I just want to make that really clear. After about 30 years in corporate, I turned around and started a consulting firm. And the original plan was to be in multicultural marketing, but some things happened, and I wound up subcontracting and doing diversity training for a variety of large diversity consulting firms around the country. So they would hire me, I would come in, and I would represent them doing diversity training for their programs. That evolved into, I was designing programs for, I was designing programs for the Chicago Urban League, diversity programs for them, and got involved in terms of working with new businesses and business development and that sort of thing, and a process that we started putting together in terms of helping these businesses become more successful and grow and be more sustainable. That expanded to a program that we were doing for Illinois Institute of Technology, which was even further in terms of ways of being able to develop it. So as a direct result of that, we kind of developed a process that we use. The Summers Group is involved in 3 different areas for the business. There's the diversity and consulting, diversity and inclusion training stuff. There's community outreach services, and then there's the small business development stuff. The D&I stuff, my primary client on that is the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but it's a $7 billion company with about 50,000 employees. They're out in Pittsburgh, and they have a program called the Dignity and Respect Campaign. And I have the contract to disseminate and develop that program through primarily a 7-state region throughout the Midwest. And over the next couple of years, we're going to be rolling that out and expanding it into individual communities and that sort of thing. We've started to launch here, and we're just getting going with it here. We've got launches going in Fremont, Ohio, so I'm running around and back and forth there. And then Milwaukee, Fort Wayne, Chicago, and Indianapolis are the most recent, are the closest rollouts that we have developed and planned. And then there's a lot more beyond that. I'm really trying to get St. Louis developed, and some of the people that I work with getting going there because I have a new grandbaby in St. Louis and I'd like to spend a lot of time there. We also work in terms of rolling out a program within communities and schools and corporations itself. And so that's how that part works. So that's the D&I part of what the Summers Group does. There's the community outreach piece that we do. And what we fundamentally do is we kind of act as that invisible partner for some organizations in the community. What happens is over the last, I had started the Summers Group back in 2005, and over that time, I really got involved with working with a lot of chief diversity officers, community outreach directors, and those sorts of things. And so one of the things that we started understanding was their real connection with the community. Now, you know, communities are always reaching out into the community, you know, companies are always reaching out into the community, and, you know, you want to know what's going on and this, that, and the other, but one of the realities of the situation is people just don't listen, okay? So they're coming all the time with all these wonderful solutions, how we're going to fix your problems for you. But they didn't bother to stop and take the time and listen to people and find out what the people said they really wanted and actually value that. Well, that's one of the things that we wind up doing and winding up networking into the community, really knowing from a grassroots level what people are saying. And then I sit down with the officers in there and tell them the truth. Okay, this is the reality of what's going on. Here's what you might be able to do. And we make recommendations in terms of how they might be able to interact more effectively in the community and have some better outcomes. And so we do that transparently, so they get all the credit and all the results in terms of being able to accomplish those things. The third part, within that, we developed from the working with the Urban League and then with Illinois Institute of Technology, some stuff with the University of Wisconsin, because that's where I go to school, and I'm part of their Entrepreneurship Advisory Board. We started recognizing patterns of what we would do. And what we put together was a process that we refer to as the SABRE solution. And that stands for Community Business Revitalization Resource. And I got sick and tired of saying CBRR, CBRR, CBRR. And at one point I had this brilliant stroke that sounded like SABRE, and so that's what I call it ever since. It's a very simple process. Okay, you identify the businesses that are in the community. You recognize who they are and what their skill sets are. You assess them in terms of what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, those sorts of things. You connect them with education so that they actually learn how to put the businesses together right. That's the fundamentals, the foundations, the business plan, the processes that they need to have in place, the tools that they need to be using so that they can actually be effective. Then you turn around and on the other end, you're connecting with the businesses and actually finding out from them what services will you buy with you understanding that your goal is to help stimulate some businesses, help them grow, and help them be able to develop and hire people from in their own community, okay, growth from within. These businesses generally have a commitment in terms of the things that they want to do. So now you take a business that you take it to a point where you know that they can actually start doing some fundamental things. You connect it with some business opportunities so that they actually have some income coming in. What a concept, cash flow. And then you turn around and then you strategically work with them to now be successful at that build some capacity, take on a larger project, a larger project, and a larger project. The way that the process is, you start with the individual businesses, then you do something with the municipality, be able to bring more business in for that, then you turn around and you go regionally, statewide, federally, and then by the time a business is operating on a federal level, they're not an MBE, WBE, DBE, or BE anything, okay? They're just a damn business, okay? And they're sustainable, and now you wean them off of the government stuff, so now they can take on larger corporate stuff, and you got a business that's going to be there for a while. And then it's rinse and repeat. We do that with more and more and more businesses. That's growth from within, and that's the process that we incorporate. We're actually been involved with doing that right now in partnership with the Michiana African American Chamber, Project Impact, with SCORE, with National College, and a few other partners in crime in this community. And so far, we've got 22 businesses that we've been working with. We've got 12 of them that I think are really going to be moving into that, starting to make really start to decent profits and those sorts of things, and we'll be expanding them out as we go in this community. And this is the smallest community because there's been the least amount of engagement and the least amount of real support from people with any money. In Ohio, the expansion is going to be much faster. Milwaukee is going to be even much faster. And in Chicago, it'll probably be the fastest in growing yet. That's a simple process. So that's fundamentally what the Summers Group does. And then the small business development piece, I like to work with small businesses. I like to work with the people that nobody else wants to work with. I like to work with those people that are considered like the least likely to succeed. So one of the things that happens is small businesses, and you've probably experienced this yourself, you go in and you go to a small business development center, or you go into a SCORE, you go into one of the services that you're supposed to receive, and they're helping you in terms of how you're going to get your business going, right? But they'll turn around and give you some information. They'll give you a book like this, okay, and an overview of what you're supposed to do, and then they hand that to you and say, come back when you got your plan together and we'll take a look at it for you, right? That's not really consulting. That's counseling, that's mentoring, but that's what they're designed to do, okay? I like to actually work with them and actually do the consulting and help develop and grow and move them forward so that now they can be a part of this other process in terms of developing and growing and moving forward. So that's fundamentally what the Summers Group does, and that's what we've been doing for the last several years, and I love doing it. I probably would be wiser. My wife has told me I'd be smarter to go back and just work with some larger corporations like Whirlpool and Kellogg and make some real money, and she'd be happier. But I wouldn't be as happy as I am right now with the whole process. So that's it. So in closing, the last thing I want to say to you, though, is that Project Impact. Pastor Blake was really excited about the idea of opening his doors and inviting you to come in. Because one of the things that we really want to try to do is try to get this whole community working together. Some more inclusion in things that are going on. We do things, you do things, people do things, all this, but we do stuff in silos. And we don't necessarily see how, if I'm working on a project, I might be doing something and give you another idea that might turn around and move you in a direction that you never would have thought of. I was working with one of my clients is a hearing impaired photographer. And he had been having a very difficult time getting funding to get his business going so that he could get off of state support so that he could become self-sufficient. Business plan that had been prepared for him really didn't cut it, and they really weren't going to get it approved. But when we sat down with them, we recognized the fact that, you know what, your disability may be considered a hindrance in a whole lot of places, okay, with a whole lot of folks. But guess what? For the last several years, I've been working with diversity and inclusion groups. I know some stuff, okay? And here's a slot. Here's a niche. Here's where you can work out and where you can fit, okay? Here's what your specialty can be. And as a direct result of that, he got his grant. He got his funding. He's going to be getting his equipment. He's going to be starting his business. He's going to be up and moving, and he's going to be successful. So that's the kind of thing that we don't even know what sorts of opportunities might come when we start connecting with people that we never usually wouldn't come in contact with. We start thinking about, are there some ways that we might be able to do something different? How can I share my network with you, and you share your network with me, and we wind up coming up with something that's bigger, that's better, and oh, by the way, more profitable than we ever would have thought before, okay? Let's keep that in mind. Let's try to keep the conversation going, and let's try to stay connected. Thank you very much.
next week, 13th to the 19th.
All right.
What?
Bike Work Week started in 2008, I think. South Bend is a bike-friendly community. We know that we have a lot of bike lanes going on and a lot of bike activities. And we have a website, MichianaBikeWork.org. You can find your team. The team of one is fine. We have lots of teams. There are a team of one. It's not a competition anymore because Rubber Band is such a big against. So sign up and you bike to work. Record your miles, and it helps record the number of people that are commuters in the South Bend area and helps getting us a higher level in the bike community. I have some water bottles back there if you're looking to take one, and there's a website on there. I've got bike maps and a couple of mini bikes back there. So.
I'm a member of a team. Our team is called Geeks with Gears.
You're Notre Dame team.
Oh.
So, and we have sub-teams, you're a sub-team of Notre Dame, and it's just a good, fun thing to do. On Tuesday morning, they'll have a free breakfast in front of the LaSalle Grill that goes off the street. Blueberry pancake breakfast, and then Thursday is back to school day, so I'll back to school that day with the kids that live with us, public community school. We have a school, Holy Cross, right there, they've got the team. So, that's fun too. Thank you, Karen.
Karen?
May 19th.
All right, we have a few dates for you. So get out your calendars so you can get all the dates down. You'll hear more about our June 4th meetup, but make sure you've got that on your calendar. Startup Weekend Michiana is November 15th to the 17th, so you won't want to miss that. Score Michiana is doing a social media workshop on May 22nd. If you're interested in that. The Yardners, has anyone heard about the Michiana Yardners?
I'm the Yardner.
Okay, we got some Yardners in here. All right. A Yardener is someone who preserves their yard in part or in its entirety for the purpose of growing food. So if you go to Facebook and you look for Michiana Yardners, it's a great way to get some resources if that's something that you're interested in doing. So, now some of you I know attended the Code Across South Bend event that was earlier this year. And those of you that did that, you might want to know, and I think the rest of you really want to know, that we're planning a similar event Sunday, June 2nd at the branch. So, again, mark your calendars. Just two more announcements, and then you get to hear all the excitement for June. Student Connect is looking for small businesses and small nonprofits that are interested in working with college students next school year. So if you have a small business or a nonprofit that might want to get connected to students, come see me. And then if you missed any of these announcements, plus we have a whole slew of other announcements, because we didn't want to take all night just giving you announcements, go to connecthealth.org. Connecthealth, all one word.org. So, Willow,
And Catherine.
tell them about the excitement, would you?
Okay. Okay, I'll throw Catherine. Okay. That was not, can I just call a do-over? Yeah, do it. Do over. Let me come up here. Okay.
Well, you're on screen.
Oh, then look at the screen.
Yeah.
What?
You're being recorded. I don't know if that's what you want.
Okay. Here, to the world. That was really embarrassing. I know I want to do that all
Well,
the
cut that out.
Okay.
Blooper.
Okay, it's like a double over. So the June meetup. Okay, so in November, 3 Degrees came together and we wanted to do something for the entrepreneurial community in South Bend. And we said, we weren't sure what our mission was. And a lot of people were asking, like, what's the point of 3 Degrees? And what's your mission? And what are all your goals? And we said, hold on, we're going to take 6 months and we're going to do monthly meetups and we're going to see who shows up and get a sense of, like, actually what does the economic landscape and what does our entrepreneurial community look like in South Bend? What do people need? What are the current resources? So that's what we've been doing for the last 6 months. We're really grateful for the people who have been showing up. We know that a lot of great things have come out of the networking meetings. So in June, we're going to have a chance to, one, share some of the positive impact that the networking has been having, but also give a really concrete overview of actually like what South Bend's entrepreneurial ecosystem looks like. And how does it compare to what a healthy entrepreneurial ecosystem looks like? So we've been able over the last 6 months to really see where some of the gaps are. And we each month have been bringing in different speakers and exposing people to resources and different spaces, like co-working spaces, things that might support the entrepreneurial community. So now it's a chance to see exactly where South Bend is, where some of those gaps are, where we actually have adequate resources and we just want to connect people in, and where we can provide some new resources. So, one of the things that James, what you said, I think was really poignant about going to the South Bend, the small business development corporation where you go in and you're ready to be helped, but they sort of hand back like a big long list that you need to do by yourself. And if you had been able to do all that by yourself, you wouldn't have been going to them for help in the first place. So that's one of the gaps. And there's a lot of opportunity there for more skill development and some really focused workshops. So we're going to be able to really point people in the right direction. And as 3 Degrees is going to be able to work and build some partnerships that help do more of that direct mentoring. Also going to give people an opportunity to see where they're at in their sort of own entrepreneurial process. Some of you are already business owners, some of you are thinking about a business, some of you are just movers and shakers in the community. You're excited about what you see in South Bend. You might not want to open a business, but you might want to just generally promote like positive economic growth and lifting everybody up. And that's fine too. So we're going to help identify where people are at and see, kind of what's the next step. Sometimes people think they know what the next step is and they don't realize they need to take a closer look, like, oh, what I actually need is more for a business plan, or what I really need is a space to start a business or any capital. So we're going to take people through that process too. So June is going to be at the Cove, which is exciting. If you guys haven't been out for a baseball game recently, there's been a huge amount of reinvestment into the facility. It's something South Bend is really proud of. So we'll be up in the press box and have a chance to see all of the improvements. And I think it's just going to be a really nice time, nice 6-month reflection, and give some concrete steps for how to move forward and then continue to develop the coffee South Bend. That's fun. So everybody needs to come out and So, Catherine, you want to just quickly talk about our next field trip, or do you want me to quick mention it? I'm going to go for it. Okay. So we've been promising that 3 Degrees is also doing field trips, regional field trips. We went to Chicago, we saw the plant. It was really exciting to see a conversion warehouse. And our next trip that we're going to do is to Goshen, not too far away, but if you've been to Goshen recently, you know like they've got some good stuff going on there. There's a really nice, close-knit community of entrepreneurs there. So what we're working with, sort of like sister entrepreneur group in Goshen, and they're going to be open the evening. Their local businesses are opening their doors for us to do walking tour and interact with business owners. We'll have like something to drink and eat downtown and really get a sense of what's been happening in Goshen over the last several years and how business owners are working together and to strengthen that whole community. So I think there's some good lessons for us for South Bend. It's 45 minutes away. It will be like a great evening on June 3rd. It's right before our next meetup at the Cove, so we can all hang out together in Goshen and then come back together next Tuesday night. So I know the dates are kind of close back to back with those 2 events, but it'll be good, and we're going to collaborate with other regional partners.
It'll be really great to see all the exciting stuff that's going on in Goshen the night before, and then come back and look at all the stuff we've done together, and then all the stuff that we want to do together as we move forward. So
yeah,
it's a busy week, but we're really excited for it.
Yeah, and then Detroit is on our docket too.
Yeah,
comeback city that we're looking forward to bringing our stuff in
later in the summer
and see what's happening, that ideas that we can take back and things that we're doing here that we can share with them. So road trip later in the summer. So yeah, keep looking out on the Facebook page for updates and all that stuff. So I think we're done with announcements, and now it's time to network. No, John, David, John really has an
I thought that one of the speakers might actually know more than I do about this, but I thought it was important to mention this group here, all these computers here and next door, is part of Project Impact, and they're selling computers. It's also a program for ex-offenders to find a job, not easy often to find a job here at Center and learn computer skills. A lot of these computers have been donated, and fixed up, and are available for sale. So that's kind of a practical thing that people should know about and take advantage of and support. There's big recycling things we can always be. We've got some stuff that maybe isn't ready for the the landfill, and you think might be able to get some more use out of it, you might donate it to this effort. As I understand, I just.
Electronic waste is how they list it.
That's, you're talking about ISD.
Yeah.
I'm talking about these parts here.
Oh.
I think,
Yeah, Project Impact for the most part we work with repairing the computers. Hardy actually does some training in terms of, one, the recycling of computers, how to do that in a proper, appropriate way, assembly, and then how to actually work and repair on computers as well. So there's a lot of training that's done with that, but it's also combined with the life skills training that he does in terms of trying to help the entire individual. Right?
But that said, if you have broken electronics, we are slated to get 1 million pounds of electronics that have been recycled in our community. So that's this weekend. This weekend. Yeah. So we can post that too, but that's very nice. Let's get a lot of toxic stuff out of our, getting it recycled properly and so yeah,
thank you.